It slowed down. Oh, there we go. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can. All right, Sal. Excited to be back. Quick
Oh, yes.
sip of
Yes.
water.
Yeah. Let me have one final sip as well.
All right.
You've got a sports
All right.
bottle like you're at the gym.
Totally at the gym. All right, let's do this. Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is That's a Crime. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Sal Rodriguez.
All right, Sal. We are back for another crime.
Yeah, finally.
I haven't said that in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. That sounded good. I liked hearing that.
Yeah. The last crime we put out, November 30th, 2022.
Oh,
I
yes.
know. December got the best of me. We had to go out of town. Had a
Yes.
bit of a family scare.
Mm,
Everything's okay. A better
Yep.
place, but that takes you out of town. You come back. It's the holidays.
sure.
It was nuts, but we are back together now, Sal, and I'm excited to be doing this crime with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And this crime, I think specifically this particular crime that we're covering today is unlike anything that we've covered.
That's
right?
true.
This is sort of an
And
odd one.
very odd. And today we're breaking down the true crime story of movie stunt leads to real life deadly game in 1993.
Wow.
That would make it 30 years old, Sal.
Nice.
That was not deliberate. I came across this, I remembered it,
Mm.
and I'm excited to break it down here with you to dive into things. And are you ready?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready for this one.
So 30 years ago, in 1993, a movie entitled The Program came out, right? Which I saw in the theater.
Nice. Well, because
A
it's a sports
football
movie, right? Yeah, football. There you go.
Sports movie, football
Yes.
movie. It deals with a college. It's kind of like Florida State, FSU. They're called ESU. Florida State at the time was very good. I say them because the colors and some of the
Yeah.
symbols look the same. But you're following this program where it's all about, I mean, Blue Chips kind of had these layers to it, which was a basketball movie with Nick Nolte made by William Friedkin. But this is akin to that. Like the inner workings, the program is everything, we'll cover up anything we need to because the program is really what's carrying the schools, and this is, a lot of this is true. I went to a big college where they had a big time college program and basketball program. We went to the Final Four when I was there. The football got better since I left because a founder, T. Boone Pickens, rest in peace, left the program, the school, billions of dollars. And all of a sudden my old school was like, wait a second, we have a new stadium and now we're in like top 10 of the country. But I've seen it. I knew enough athletes to think like, oh my God, they do cover these things up. So it wasn't lost on me, but this movie's a bit over dramatized. Okay. It's a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but always enjoyable. And for the time when I saw it in my early days, I thought, oh, wow, this is great. And of course, I loved the coach, which was played by Khan.
Oh, yes.
The famous Khan. You know who I'm talking about.
Sure. James Caan, right?
James Caan, Jimmy Caan. I was going to call him Jimmy. I was going to go old school.
Yeah.
Godfather. Rest in peace, James Caan.
Yeah,
but
recently.
He's fantastic as the coach. And it was directed by David S. Ward. Now, I don't know the name and I love movies. I'm a cinephile, but I was like, oh, yeah, okay, let me look him up again. He wrote and directed the movie. He also wrote and directed Major League 2, two big sports movies, especially Major League. And he was the writer of The Sting, which I love that movie. Classic, right? So Newman, Redford, and he did many more things. Well, that's who put this in play. And the cast again, James Caan. Beyond him, Halle Berry, Omar Epps, Christy Swanson, Craig Schaefer. He plays the quarterback, Joe Kane, and he's trying to get the Heisman, and they're, publicizing him as Kane is able. That's like one of the storylines. It's kind of funny. But anyway, I saw it in the theater. I knew it well, but Sal, you're telling me no recollection.
Whenever I think of dates, I think of where I was and, where I was at in my life at that time.
Was I seeing movies in that spell?
I would say that there was a period in time in the maybe mid 90s. So, 93, 94, 95, where I probably wasn't seeing a ton of movies. Yeah, I probably wasn't. I wasn't a cinephile during those few years in the 90s, I would say. And then I got into movies again in the late 90s.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there was a little absence there. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but movies, probably not a ton of them.
Well, I hadn't seen a lot of good football movies in a while, right? Not since, North Dallas 40, which is incredible, but our Rudy comes out in the early 90s. That was incredibly impactful.
Sure, I've heard of it. Yeah.
And then a great movie.
Yeah.
So I was all about going to see them. And so I went with friends and we went and saw this. And in that original release, now I'm in the movie theater, the film contained a scene where several ESU football players lay on the yellow dividing line of a busy local road as a test of their courage. I remember this scene vividly. And I thought, oh, wow, it plays well for the movie in the context of things. A team's all about camaraderie. And then, of course, you're, testing one another. It's a lot of that stuff going on, a lot of peer pressure. So I remember it well, thought it was a cool scene. Sure enough. Well, now this infamous scene, I should say, Joe Kane, played by Craig Schaefer, he is the first to lie down. So here's your quarterback, right? The leader of the team. He's laying down in the middle of the road and he's reading aloud a Sports Illustrated article about him, kind of that was poking holes in his game a little. Like, okay.
I didn't know that. He was reading about himself.
He's reading about himself. Like,
wow.
You think I'm afraid of pressure? You think I can't handle the big moment? And that kind of, I'm paraphrasing here.
Yes.
And then all the while cars are passing, and it's, the way it's done in the movie, it's like, oh, this is fun, hey, you crazy kids. And then he does it, and the lineman gets involved, the defensive lineman and the running back. So they're all just starting to create this like human snake, or you would say, cinnamon. And they're just down a line.
Yes.
And it's high risk, but it's also like, they're really not in that much danger. It's a movie. And, I never thought twice about it. I thought it was a cool scene.
Jason,
I question it now.
Jason, I'm sorry. I have to point something out that to me is very important. And that is the street itself, or the highway itself.
Yeah.
Because even in our description here, we say yellow dividing line, but actually wasn't the yellow dividing line, but rather a broken white line. So it was not as I originally imagined it, which would be let's say a 2-lane highway with a yellow solid line. Now, if you were to lay down in the middle of that 2-lane highway where cars are going in opposite directions, that would not be as dangerous as the way they are actually doing it, which is laying on the broken line with cars going in the same direction, which means they are free to change lanes at any time. Which means I would honestly say that to lay on a broken white line is more dangerous than to lay on a solid yellow dividing line.
Yeah, I agree. And I took that from one of the articles and put it in there. And then I went and found the scene. And you're absolutely right, which you've seen the scene too, because now you can bring this comment. And you're right. It was not the yellow line. It was just a random broken line. And you can do anything you want on that. You can pass anybody. You can pass people in your own lane. But that aside, we have the scene. We're going to put it on here. We're going to pipe through the audio. And we did this in another episode recently. And sometimes the audio cuts out. We're going off YouTube. Hopefully it works. We're going to pipe it right in and we'll watch the scene and we'll continue to talk about what we haven't even gotten to the crime, which is tragic, but we're setting the stage.
Yeah, it is quite a stunt. I've never seen this stunt before. And I was really, I mean, I don't know if the word is impressed, but it is quite a spectacle.
Yes, it is. So bear with me as you will see the screen behind me. Tell me when you see it, so.
I see it saying, given the YouTube logo.
Oh, that's a good start.
Yes, it's.
And we can talk over it. There's a lot of downs.
Yeah, because this is not a trailer. This is the very scene.
I say we go two-stepping.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a hell of a lot of luck over there.
Yeah, they're walking out. Were they in a bar? Is that what they were in a bar?
Yeah.
Can we dance there?
Yeah.
Oh yes. And tonight, sandwich.
No.
Joe, where are you going?
Drunken football players walking out of a bar. Not good.
That's the right time for the season.
See?
That guy was a Nightbreed, right? A Nightbreed.
And you are in no shape.
Scooby Act from Parky Lewis Can't Lose.
Yes.
So he's out there.
Nice
Yeah.
breaks.
Crazy.
Joe, get back here.
Oh, hey.
Why is he always doing stuff like this?
Because he's drunk off his ass.
Oh, great. Look at this shit.
Yeah,
Come on,
not
let's
the
go.
yellow line.
You go get him.
Yeah, he hasn't laid down yet, but he's going to.
And he just sits down and he
Mm.
pulls out the Sports Illustrated.
Man,
Wonder how they shot that.
Kane is a gifted passer and a
That card's
dangerous
pretty
runner who
close.
seems to elevate his game during crunch.
See, he's reading the article.
Tony, let's get out of here.
Hey, Bud, they're talking about how good I am under pressure.
Joe, don't be an
Oh,
asshole.
how good he is.
Somebody
Uh.
trips and crosses the line to pass.
You can't take the heat. Get off the highway. Shit. Come on, they'll hit me first.
Oh my
Starting
God.
to look like a loaf of Wonder Bread out there.
Hey, you know, they're making us look like a bunch of pussies standing here sucking our thumbs.
Oh,
Yeah, there's nobody from the defense out there.
What are
See,
you
peer
looking at?
pressure.
You think you're bad?
why would you do that? Why would you? Yeah, let me go lay in the
White
street.
boys. See ya.
There you go.
Be careful.
Oh, it's Joy Lauren Adams, everybody. Chasing Amy.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's who. Yes. Oh, she's a doll. She's an absolute doll.
They never mentioned this shit in the
Lamar Epps.
He doesn't do it, right?
Oh,
Does
he's a
he?
rookie. Not a rookie, sorry. This isn't pro. The freshman.
Yeah. You know what? You know, yellow or white, whatever. This is a very dangerous stunt. Very, very dangerous.
Still reading.
Oh
Tell
my
we're not going, maybe he doesn't.
Woo! Yeah, I'd never seen this before. Pretty amazing. Pretty
There
amazing.
you
Pretty
go.
dangerous. And thrilling. You know what I mean? Young, stupid, drunk
Absolutely.
people. What a thrilling thing to do. You only live once. Very dangerous. You know what makes that so dangerous is that you're having to rely on all these strangers driving by you. Why are
Absolutely.
you? I can't. I don't know these people. I don't know what they're going to do. You know, so it's incredibly dangerous.
It plays well in a movie.
Yeah, great, thrilling.
Teenagers, 20-year-old kids, football players, very impressionable.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s when I saw this, or early 20s. I thought it was great. I wasn't about to go do it, but I thought it was a
Sure.
cool scene. I got
Yeah.
the impact,
You weren't going to go do it.
but I wasn't 15, 16, 17
Uh,
around peer pressure. So
Yeah.
this scene right here that you just witnessed
Yeah.
led to several real life teenagers imitating exactly what they saw, which is indeed a crime, Sal. Obstruction of traffic.
Is it a misdemeanor?
Okay. Probably a misdemeanor.
Okay,
but
because
we
I
cover everything from a
we-
misdemeanor to a murder.
no, but you know what? I feel like there should be something between a misdemeanor and a felony, like something in the middle, right? Something
Yeah.
like because a misdemeanor could be like, I don't know, you break somebody's window. That's a misdemeanor, right? Okay, that's bad, but you broke a window. Misdemeanor versus felony, you assault somebody. Somewhere in between, somewhere in the middle of those, I think this should fall.
When you break that window, do you break it to unlock it and come in? Or you just mean like break a window with a ball?
Maybe
Actually,
vandalizing. Yeah, maybe.
vandalizing. a
yeah.
Frisbee.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So in one case of these teenagers imitating what they saw, 18-year-old Michael Shingledecker of Polk, Pennsylvania was killed almost
Wow.
instantly when he and a friend were struck by a pickup truck while lying on a 2-lane highway copying the stunt. His friend, 17-year-old Dean Bartlett, was critically injured.
Oh my God.
I mean, that is tragic.
Terrible.
2 teenagers, football players, maybe not. Figure they would imitate this. They probably just saw the program, and you had to see it in the theater because we'll get into what happens to this particular scene.
Oh yes.
So they're talking about it. It's just the 2 of them, which is kind of shocking. Unless others were standing by, we don't know. But this is so tragic.
Yeah.
And then in another case, 17-year-old Michael Macias of Syosset, New York, which I'd never heard of Syosset, New York,
Yeah.
was put in intensive care after being hit by a car while mimicking the scene. So these are just 3 cases I've come across. 1 death, 2 critically injured. Hopefully they lived and recovered from this. But law enforcement authorities and family members said the teens were copying the daredevil stunt from the program and feared that scores of other young men are copying the stunt as well, or they were going to. And Michael's mother, Michael Shingledecker, his mother, Patricia, gave the following statement. Sal, why don't you read that for us?
My son saw the movie last weekend, and I know he was playing the game because the kids playing it with him told me. They said about 30 other kids were playing the game a few miles up the road in another town the same night. As a parent, I know that 95% of what gets on TV or in the movies gets into kids' heads. Why are they putting these movies out for our children?
I mean, here's a mother
Boy.
who's just lost her teenager. Of course, like I would be outraged, and it's easy to lay blame. I mean, I get it. Why is this in this movie? At the same time, I mean, this is probably before video games got darker and there's a lot more sadistic things out there. But listen, if I lost a child, scorched earth, I mean, I would blame any and everybody. But it's very tragic. But
let me
due to
ask you this,
please. Let's explore.
Jason, pardon me. I mean, this was before viral trends.
Mm-hmm.
In 93, how does a trend what's it called, propagate, extrapolate? How does a trend go viral in 93?
People were going to see the movie. It was popular. When you have a movie that also deals with football and teams, sometimes your team goes to see the movie, so you see it in these big waves. I saw that. I mean, it happened a lot. But in fact, when I was working in a movie theater years after this came out, not too many years later, but it was after, I worked in a movie theater in the college town that I went to. By the way, I went to Oklahoma State, Stillwater, Oklahoma, big program. The night before games, football games, which is a bigger team, it's like 50, 60 players, they would set up an event because they stay at a hotel that night. They keep the team on a lockdown for a home game, and they would go see a movie as a team. And I remember taking that call and then giving them the rundown and then blocking out that movie for them. They didn't see the program. That wasn't there then.
Yeah.
But, they would do that. So imagine if they saw the program as a team, everyone's just, on another wavelength, and people walk away with ideas. So that was the viral then. You would probably go see it often. People would talk about it. We were talking about it, and honestly, I was hearing about these tragedies right after.
You remember that?
Hit the airwaves, hit the news.
Wow.
So it was different. It wasn't like we were prehistoric, pre-internet. It was just different. There was less noise, so these things would perk up.
Well, I didn't get on I didn't get my first email until 97. That was about 97. So I wasn't cruising around online until I wasn't cruising around online until like 97, 98.
Yeah.
Is that late?
Of course.
When were a lot of people when were you cruising around online?
Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s.
I was mid 90s. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. The word got out there. People knew about it, Sal.
Yeah.
And back, when you're a kid, you love a movie, you might go to multiple viewings. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? You know why? Then it was easier to sneak into movies back then.
Wow, look at you. Look at Sal.
That I was okay. Yeah, I just realized that. Yeah, if I was attending the movies in the early 90s, I probably was sneaking in. Definitely sneaking in somewhere.
Sneaking in the movies.
Also sneaking in the trunk of the back drive-in.
For drive-ins.
There you go.
I was going to call it drive-through movies. One of the movies that I did book the team to come see was The Long Kiss Goodnight. You ever see that?
I've heard of it.
Davis. Very good. And they love. I knew, like, I got to choose because, like, what do you think, Jason? And I took them to that movie. It's like, this one, the team's gonna love it. And I popped in during the movie, and they're just like, Nice. It was a really fun action movie. Anyway, due to these tragic events, Buena Vista did remove the scene from the film. I knew this too. They went in, and it was still in theaters. So no post-theatrical versions of the movie contain the scene, leading many to speculate that the studio destroyed the actual negatives of the controversial sequence.
What? Come on.
However, as we've all just witnessed, the
Yeah.
scene can be found on YouTube. And one source stated that the scene was not cut from the Hong Kong Laserdisc or the Australian DVD releases
Wow.
for whatever reason. I don't quite
Wow.
understand.
I don't know. Are people?
They said no, that stays.
I think that there are. I think we've seen that. Well, I don't know. You have these countries like China, which would have had a version with. It would have been more censored, right? But then you have other countries where the version is less censored. I think, yeah, Australia, I'm not surprised. Hong Kong, maybe I'm surprised. I would imagine that Hong Kong would be more restrictive.
What I don't know, though, because I saw it right when it came out.
Yeah.
I think it had a pretty good run. It was a different time, maybe less screens, but stays on screens longer. I do believe they went in and took it out of the theatrical version because that's, you can do that. I worked at theaters long enough. You just take it out and then they had to make sure, I'm sure some houses left it in, but it took it out. And then the DVD, I should say VHS, that came out first. I got a VHS when I worked at Blockbuster of it, brought it to some friends and we, you know, to show everybody, and we watched it, and it definitely wasn't in that because I explained.
But that was the whole
scene.
reason you wanted to see the deleted scene, right?
No, they wanted to see. No, they wanted to see the movie. They'd never seen.
Oh,
it.
okay.
Like,
So it's not. It wasn't so
must
much
be.
about the deleted
No,
scene.
it wasn't everybody. No, it was a different crew.
I
And I
see.
showed it to them, and they really loved it for what it is. It's enjoyable, but
Yeah.
that scene was not there. And I
Uh,
was like, see, and it was like a promo copy because I worked at Blockbuster. You could get a promo copy, and it would say like every so often, like, do not copy this. It's
Yeah, yeah.
property of Blockbuster, but this is like
Yes.
an employee perk. You could just take it home and show people, and you couldn't copy it,
Yeah.
or anything. So that was not on there that I recall. So, but Buena Vista and Touchstone Pictures, a division of Disney, were not liable, but did release a statement that offered condolences to the family, but defended the film. And Sal, please read their statement, if you would.
The scene in the program clearly depicts this adolescent action as an irresponsible and dangerous stunt by a troubled and heavily intoxicated individual, and in no way advocates or encourages this type of behavior. Well, there
Individuals.
Well, what's funny is that I mean, I don't mean it's funny, but what's interesting is that they kind of wash their hands of responsibility, yet they remove the scene.
Yeah, they removed the scene.
Wow. Well, you know what then though? I think that's a kind of a show of good faith if you then, like, in other words,
so.
like we're not responsible, ultimately responsible for your children, but we do want to go ahead and respond to your concerns, so we will
But
remove
the
it. So,
optics aren't good.
yeah,
Well, I'm
I guess I
sure
could
the
see it.
backlash, which I didn't start researching, I'm sure that it, like, we're not taking our team to go see that movie. We're not condoning that movie.
Yeah.
So it was probably like thinking, hey, we're going to go to video rental soon. Let's take it out. And I really would be curious to see what David S. Ward, the writer director, thought about it, because I'm
wow.
sure, listen, he's an artist and he's directing this big movie. And I'm sure he doesn't want anybody to be hurt by something you've created. So I'm sure his take is maybe, I don't know, it could be very personal and like, wow, once I knew this was happening, it had to come out. Oddly enough, he was born in Rhode Island. So I don't know if he's floating around these parts. And so maybe we'll have him on the program to talk about the program, have him on the show. But that would be one thing. Only one thing I would talk about. Hey, he wrote the Sting.
Okay,
I would have him on for that first. But
No,
I
but
would love to just know what his take was.
I would, yeah, that's exactly. Now that you bring that up, it's very interesting because you know that writers will bring up stuff from their own life. I wonder if when he was young, he ever actually did a stunt like that, or did he just conjure it up for the movie? That's something odd to conjure up for a movie. That is an incredible stunt. It really is. I mean, as a stunt, I gotta say, it's impressive.
It works.
Don't do it. Nobody do it.
No,
but it is pretty impressive.
Oh, and I thought about it, and I shouldn't just pass this over, make light of it. The scene was impactful. Like, if I had to think about a scene from the program, that's the scene I'm walking away with. A lot of the other stuff is like, oh, I've seen it. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But that's a scene that I would think about, like, oh yeah, I remember in the program and they lay down, and you ever crossed a busy street because you had to, and you think like, oh, it was always there. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like it just went away and lost on me. It was very impactful.
Mhm.
And I should also point out, if I have Mr. Ward on the show, it would be on Let's Talk Movies.
Mm.
I probably wouldn't have him on
That's
this
right. Yeah,
unless we
that's right.
really just unless we just focused on the program in this particular.
Let's focus on how your writing possibly caused the deaths of young people.
I thought this was a movie podcast. No, this is a crime podcast. So that's all I got, Sal. I was fascinated to come across this again. And listen, this research, I didn't delve too deep because I had all this in front of me, but I wonder how many more scores of people did this. I mean, there was fear that this was going to be a copycat kind of thing. Obviously, these two cases, I believe there was more, maybe not as reported. This is older. It was hard enough to find these.
Yeah.
But I wonder, if there wasn't waves more injured and, hopefully no more deaths, but highly possible, as popular as this movie.
But you know what, though? I think it's good that it did come out in 93 and not 2023, because it would become viral. They would call it the Road Challenge. It would go viral, and there would probably be thousands of young people doing such a crazy stunt.
And when this did happen, and I definitely knew about it, I'm glad that they took the initiative and removed it, because it'd still be out there living today. Yes, we can find it online if you know what you're looking for, but people that pop it in, it's not even on their radar. And I think for that instance, once there's some sort of tragic trend happening, I think it was the right way to go. And especially underneath Disney's banner, they don't want that blood on their hands. Definitely do not.
I am, for the sake of any actors who are in scenes that get deleted. Like, for example, if there was one of those football players who was only in that scene, he was only in the road scene, and then they deleted, well, I would feel bad for that actor. But otherwise, I think everybody who was in the road scene is also in other scenes. So they'll still be able to have their camera time.
Well, the stunt doubles, maybe not, but the actors, yes. And that covers the true crime story of Movie Stunt Leads to Real Life Deadly Game in 1993. Sal, thank you for joining me as we get That's a Crime back on track, and we will be back with more crimes.
Yeah, thanks for bringing the show back, and thanks for bringing this to my attention. Never heard of the movie, never heard of the stunt, never heard of the crime. So thank you.
So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to the That's a Crime podcast and the That's a Crime YouTube live channel. You can also really help us by giving the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast.
And for all you listeners that enjoy sharing your thoughts, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, send us a direct message, or post a comment on any That's a Crime social media platform.
We also highly recommend checking out our other podcast and visiting justcuriousmedia.com.